Hello, I'm JW, and this time I've got a timer to have a look at. It's one of those things you just plug into a socket outlet and then you plug your appliance into the device, and then of course you can set the timer for it to switch on and off automatically. And you've probably seen these things. They're generally made out of plastic, very cheap, only a couple of pounds each, and generally rather poor quality. But of course the one we have here is not one of those. It's actually this one, which is considerably older, and it's in this original box here. So let's have a look inside this one, see how well this is made. Now here's the timer, and it's a Timac or Timac, not entirely sure how that should be pronounced, automatic electric switch. Comes in its original box, and I see here on this label it has the Good Housekeeping Institute Award or guarantee, number 2986. Now there's no date on there, so unknown when that was actually awarded. So picture of the thing on the side here, and if you have a look inside the box, it's one of these sort of hinge open arrangements. Here's the actual timer itself, and we also get the original instruction leaflet and a few other bits and pieces as well. So let's take those out of there and have a look. Now the first thing we get here is the guarantee card, and a little thing that tells you about the thing itself. So it's the silent servant that everybody's going to want. Somehow I doubt that. And there's a picture of the device there. Notice that picture there is considerably different from the picture on the box. And it has some useless marketing rubbish here. It's a bit damaged there, but nevertheless it's fairly complete. And of course the worthless guarantee is, of course, this expired several decades ago. And it's the usual rubbish there, and has the manufacturer's name in here, which is Kangalone, which apparently is part of the Kangol group of companies, as it says on the other pieces of paper. Now this is the instructions, basically how to set and operate it, although it's pretty self-explanatory. And it's printed in basically spot colour, so it's just black with this horrible orange as an overprint. And very simple operation. It's basically just a timer in the front there. Loosen the front, adjust the couple of settings here, and you've basically got two markers, one for on and one for off. As I say, just plug it in, plug your appliance in there, and it will switch on and off at the times actually selected. And as I look in the back here, it says manufactured by Kangalone Limited, Doman Road, Camberley, Surrey, and that's a product of the Kangol group of companies, long since defunct, of course. And it says on the back here, do not use on a load greater than 3 kilowatts. We're going to have a job because these things are fused to 13 amps, as it's a BS1363 type of outlet. So anything in there is going to have a 13 amp fuse in it at the absolute maximum. So quite how you're supposed to put more than 3 kilowatts there, something of a mystery. I suppose the only possibility is to put an extension lead here with 6 different things in it, but again, that's going to have a fuse in it as well, so not entirely clear why they've bothered with that. No date on the instructions or the box or the guarantee, unfortunately. Now what I've got here, it's actually in 2 parts. It was originally attached, of course, and should you return with a hyphen, poor layout, your timer at any time for general servicing with another hyphen, would you kindly use the attached label? And these are actually gummed on the back, so you're supposed to lick that and ingest the rat poison applied, and then just stick this on the envelope. And it's interesting to note that the address has no postcode, which presumably would indicate that this was produced prior to postcodes being introduced in the UK. Now, I'm not entirely sure that is, but I'll have a look and put a comment on the video later. So there we go, that's the address of the now defunct company, and of course it doesn't exist anymore, so no point going down that route. Now I'll just have a look at the item itself, and I've just had a quick look at the postcode situation, and apparently they were introduced in the UK between 1959 and 1974, so a pretty wide range there. So this could be either before that, I doubt that, or sometime in between there, so I'd imagine 1960s would seem fairly likely. So on the back here I've got 13 amps AC only, Timac registered trademark, patents pending, and it's 16772 and made in England. And just got the 3 pins on the back here, unsleeved of course, as they were not required to be sleeved at the time. And so that would just go into your socket outlet, and on the front here you've got the same plug arrangement, so your appliance would plug in here. And the label here says important, read instructions carefully and remove this paper before use. Well, pretty obviously no one bothered, because they've just stuffed the earth pin straight through there and left the paper label in place. Now the timer itself is metal, engraved and then infilled with black and red writing. And the deal is you're supposed to unscrew this using a coin or something. Does it actually go? Yes, it does, eventually. Okay, so let's just have a look in there. So the deal is you undo the centre piece using the previously mentioned coin there, and then you can move the 2 pointers for the on and off selection. So there's the red one there, and of course the black one correspondingly. So you just set them to whatever times you wanted, and then you just tighten down the screw in the middle to lock those in position. Now, of course, we just turn around and switch on at the predefined point, and of course off at the other marker. Now, in this it's only got the one on and off selection, so not entirely very useful for that. The more recent ones with the plastic don't have the segments all the way round, so you can have multiple on and off periods. On the top here, just got the manual override switch, so that'll be on permanently, and that'll be on the timed function. And this is supposed to be a neon indicator, which will illuminate when the thing is turned on. At least that's what the instructions said. Now, we need to take this apart, of course, because we're not going to be plugging it in and switching it on. Now, that colour is just a rather yellowed piece of plastic which just press fits over the front there. Now, I've got 2 screws on the front here, so we'll start with those, and the corresponding nut just drops off the back after just a couple of turns. So those just go straight through. Yes, it does slide there, as you can see, but it doesn't come down any further than that. So we're not entirely clear how that's been assembled there, but obviously we've got these 3 things on the back here which we'll need to just pry out with the inappropriately used screwdriver. Now, the instructions did actually say that this thing is assembled from the rear, and therefore you should not attempt to take it all out from the front. So, how very helpful that they're telling you how to undo it, even though of course they didn't want you to do that because you had to send it back to them to be repaired. I wonder whether people actually did things like that and send it back for general servicing. In other words, have a look inside and put a spot of oil on the gear mechanism inside, and then send it back to the customer with a large bill, probably exceeding the cost of a new one. Right, just clean up those holes with the knife there to get in a bit more easily. So these are just normal slot head screws or bolts, so should be able to just undo those. Right, that's the end of those, so let's see if any of this actually comes apart. Right, well, it seems it is a bit loosened, but still going to get in, so presumably we're going to have to go in under this central one as well. And then we've got a much larger screw in the centre there, so let's undo that one. Right, so let's see what we've got now then. So certainly much more loosening seems to be happening. So that's just the front cover for the socket there. And again with the included shutters, just the more simple tight where as you press in the pin there, just move down and uncover the line and neutral holes. The line with the red there, and the other is just an uninsulated solid piece of wire. So this half with the plug in, and we've just got the contact here on the back. This comes straight through to these studs. The earth, of course, just goes straight through to the socket on the front, pretty much what you would expect. The neutral there comes through to this stud, one of which goes down to the socket there. And of course, that is one of the studs which go through to the timing module on the top. And then the line pin on this side comes into this massive wedge of solder where someone's presumably poured half a ton of it on there to increase the current carrying capacity. And it comes up to the top here, and we've got the screw here, which we took out from the back there, and the same with the neutral one. We've also got this post here, which of course fixes up with the contact on the back. And then it also carries on to this switch here, which is that mechanical or manual override part there, so when that's on, and then it comes down to here, and again that matches up with one of the pieces on the back. And then just got a bit of wire coming down from there to the line contact in the socket. Now on the back of the timer module, we've got the two contacts here, which will just sort of press over the corresponding studs in the base. The central piece there, which is just a mechanical fastening, that's just in the middle here. And then this other threaded stud here, which you see is another one of those contact arrangements with a threaded piece inside. And that's what we go down to here. So essentially what we've got here is a neutral, a line in, and then the line out. So of course it's connecting the line here to the line over there when it's on. And of course it's in the same parallel with that mechanical switch there. So if that switch is on, it totally bypasses the timer, though the clock will still run. And then in that position, it's just up to the timer inside, which will connect the two pins together. And of course, connect that to the outgoing socket at the bottom. So the timer module is literally just a self-contained module. So let's see if we can get in here and see what we've got. Notice this is quite deep. Certainly compared to the modern items, it's placed against the background there. It's a couple of inches in depth, or 5 of these segments here, which are centimetres. Actually, it's only 6 if we include the front piece there. So a pretty substantial item. So we should be able to just undo these 4 screws here and see what we've got inside. There's not going to be a huge amount in here in terms of complexity. It'll be obviously some kind of motor to drive the clock around, and then some sort of switching arrangement operated by those 2 movable pegs on the front. Okay. So just a plastic housing there with that window and the 4 screws, of course, to screw into the base part. Now this has just fell out, whatever that is. Like some kind of insulating sheet, trying to be thin. Not sure where that's fallen out from. So here we have the actual mechanism, and we can see on the front here we've got the moving contacts, the red and the black for on and off. Just going to go around so far. Oh, yes, there's the actual switch there. So yeah, similar to the design of that Panasonic one I had a look at a while ago. And you've got the one peg here with a short peg, and then the other one is much longer, so it will alternatively trip the switch or the other half of it as the contacts move around. So neon on the top here, just one of those little glass enclosures there. That's just connected onto that board at the back here. And essentially what we've got the rest of it is going to be a little motor. This will be the winding for the motor, and the various gears inside, which obviously will reduce the speed up that down to drive this round as 1 rotation per 24 hours. So let's see if we can go in a bit closer and see what's going on inside. So here's a closer look at the actual timing mechanism. And so you've got the neon in the middle here, so just that little glass thing with the 2 electrodes and a small amount of neon inside that will just glow orange when the power is applied. And there should be a resistor to limit the current through that, otherwise they tend to explode. And yes, there's the resistor, see it peeking down in the bottom there. And unfortunately, if these are connected directly to the mains, they in this state they'll have a pretty much infinite resistance, but as soon as you get to a certain voltage, usually about 70 volts, as soon as they start conducting, they basically present a short circuit. So if you just connect that across the mains without a resistor, there's a bit of a bang, and the glass envelope magically disappears, never to be found again. So resistor down there just to limit the current to that. And you can see on the front here, there's the actual dial. It appears to be made of solid brass, or at least something fairly high quality. Considerable thickness there. And then we've just got the red and the black to switch on and off, and you see that the black one has that short peg, and then the red one, I'll just move that around, comes back around, has the longer peg. That moves that piece on the back, and then it actually goes over the one that the black one moved, which will then pop back into position. And because these can't cross over or pass each other, that one will then operate on that side and move the other one into position for the red that comes around later. And I've got a little spring there to secure the contacts in. I can actually press those down manually fairly easily. And the front dial, of course, when it's tightened down there, will just connect straight through to the gearing on the back here. Now on this side we've got the coil here, which is obviously the magnetic motor. Now we can do the laminated windings in here, or the laminated core. We go right through to the other side, so it's just basically a coil of wire, and then we've got the core there, and we can see the wires connected on the sides and at the other end there. And of course that will be powered all the time, so the motor would continuously turn, and of course it's all geared down inside with these rather finely manufactured, probably brass gearing arrangements. And just turn it around there and see the whole arrangement of the thing. Back here is just the terminal plate, so just got those studs, that other one, and then the purely mechanical fixing in the centre. And so they just come through with the insulated braid wires on the back there. That one's actually underneath the motor there, so you can't actually see that very well. And then the one on the top here again, it's just a basically a Paxilin board or something on the back with the solder trace going underneath, and again across to the wires here which come over and onto the front there. Slightly tacky actually, which suggests the material's breaking down a bit, but that's to be expected after 50 years or however long this thing has been around for. And it's all sandwiched between this other plate on the front, again it's some sort of Paxilin type material, and of course the contacts will just come through to the front where the switch is. So a fairly simple device, but there's a substantial amount of engineering effort has gone into making the gearing arrangement there. So that's certainly non-trivial in terms of actually making and assembling that, and certainly the new plastic ones would not have gone to that kind of trouble. Or they're just made out of nylon or something, and there'd be far fewer of them. And of course those things are not designed to last, whereas this thing obviously probably still works even today, and will do so after many decades of actually being in use. And in the front there it's engraved and then infilled with the red paint for the daytime and the black for the night time. Now I've just reassembled this without the top cover, so we can hopefully power this on and see the mechanism actually rotating. Also, we just look at it from the front, it's going to take a whole day for that to move, so movement won't be visible, but hopefully inside we'll be able to see some faster moving items. And in the top here, the three studs are actually all identical. It just so happens that the three sockets, one of them are just unscrewed there from the back, but turns out you don't actually have to remove either of those to get the front off. It's purely that central one which holds the front on, and then you've just got three studs, and then this actual assembly simply plugs over those three studs to make the contact. And again at the bottom, those two just hold on the bottom cover there, nothing actually to do with the top at all. So quite a nicely engineered design with the totally separate module there, literally just plugged in on the top. And presumably you may have had other models in the range which say went for a different length of time, like a weekly one or something, and it would just be then a question of assembly, just plugging in the appropriate module and stuffing the cover over the front. Now I'll just fix this up so we can hopefully see the parts rotating. So just put this on a stand and connect it to an extension lead, and I'll just plug this into the isolation transformer. Obviously it's not particularly safe to have live parts exposed under any circumstances. So we should see the neon on the top here obviously illuminate, and of course the various wheels and cogs and things, at least some of them ought to be visible moving, although of course the one on the centre there for the front of course will move incredibly slowly, so there's only one rotation per 24 hours. So let's power on and see what we can see. Okay, so we've got the orange neon illuminated there as you'd expect, and you can see the top one there is rotating at a fairly fast speed, and of course then that's geared down through the various different cogs and things inside to get to the one at the front of course, which say is according to that barely moving at all. And of course that's the one per 24 hours, and the front of course is this side where the dial is, and of course that's the back where the contacts and mechanism are. Now here's a view at the side, and you can see a bit more clearly the various different cogs arrangements there, so there's a considerable number of them. And again, individually cut from brass, and all carefully assembled there, fairly precision arrangement. And this does make a very slight buzzing sound, which of course expected because of an AC motor, but essentially the actual cog mechanism, whatever, is pretty much silent, even though this is probably 40 or 50 years old. So I looked there at the Timac electric plug-in timer, and I say you can buy similar things to this now, but of course they're just made out of cheap plastic rubbish, whereas this is made out of high quality stuff designed to last forever. And you could probably still use this if you wanted, although the unsleeved pins are something of a minor issue. That wouldn't necessarily be approved, but when you use it in your own house, well, probably nothing wrong with doing so. And I say it's all pretty complete. Only disadvantage there, it's only got the one on and off time, which of course isn't desperately convenient, but then if that's all you need, then fine. Still a bit bizarre how they've got a different picture on the box there showing it as a horizontal arrangement, and of course this isn't that one because the switch on the top is in the wrong position as well, so perhaps they just change it to fit on the picture because it seems a bit unlikely you'd have one with a socket going sideways. But anyway, until next time, thanks for watching.